What's going on, guys? Adam here with this week's fishing report. We got a lot going on, a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. I'm going to start with freshwater today. We've had a little bit of a cold front come through, and the bass are acting like it's the fall transition. I mean, I know we're still in August, but they're starting to get more active, especially during that midday bite, which has usually been pretty dead during the summer. Great thing to throw at them during the midday bite is going to be just a regular old stick worm like this. These are from Gambler. I really like the watermelon with the red flake. A lot of bass have been being caught in really all your ponds and lakes around the area. I've heard some good reports of Waterworks and then Waterworks in Annapolis, and then on the eastern side, all your mill ponds have been pretty productive as well. I've also heard some good stuff about St. Mary's Lake. On the snakehead side of things, it's okay right now. It's not great. They're still up in the grasses. As we do transition to fall, they're going to start to push off the grasses and get a little bit deeper, but they're still feeding pretty actively. I really like a buzzbait this time of year. You can bring it along the edges of the grass. Something like one of these guys here, nice gold blade and chartreuse is going to be really good for blackwater. That's where a lot of snakes are being caught on the east side. Then on the west side, your upper bay, the upper reaches of your rivers. I've heard about a couple snakes on like the Little Magathie, so that'd be a good area to look as well. In terms of other stuff in freshwater, we've got some really good smallmouth bass fishing right now. Again, it's like feeling like that summer to fall transition, even though on the calendar we're not quite there yet. But you can try places like the Monocacy, like the Upper Potomac. I know we've talked about this before, but there's tons of access for you to get in there and wade, which is super fun this time of year. There's a bunch of lock houses and stuff along the Potomac, which would be great. Especially in this kind of clear water we've been having. I really like a square bill crankbait, which you can do with these because they float. It's really cool. You can crank them really fast, and then when you feel them hit a rock, stop, and they'll sort of come up and float over the rock. You'll get a lot of bites doing that. And then last thing for freshwater is going to be your panfish, your sunfish. Those are always great in the summer, always a reliable target. Like a night crawler under a bobber will work really good. One of those like Berkeley power bait worms on a tiny little split shot rig would work good. Inline spinners, little micro jigs like this might work good as well. Talking about those micro jigs, we'll transition over to the bay into our tidal waters and talk about perch. Perch is still really tough right now. No one really knows why, but it's a tough time of year for perch. Definitely guys are doing better on bait as opposed to lures. Something I like to do that fellow Anglers employee Sammy Green taught me is you take these little micro jigs and you tip them with grass shrimp. You can drop them down on a piling or near some rock structure and stuff like that. That's a good option there. You can also drop some heavier jigs or sabikis at the Bay Bridge pilings. That's where I've heard the most reliable reports of perch this week is deeper water along the Bay Bridge pilings. Besides that, I mean, people are finding pockets here and there in docks, like in the Magathie, the Severn, the Chester. But if you have a dock that's got a transition to deeper water, you might find some pockets of fish there. But guys, as it's been all summer, they are few and far between. Moving on to rockfish, we've got a pretty good bite going on for rockfish right now as we've gotten some of this colder weather. The Patapsco is really hot on the upper side of things, Pools Island. Your Bay Bridge pilings are really good too for live lining, jigging. As we go a little bit south, I've heard really good reports of slot and overslot fish from the Chop Tank. And then even more south, a lot of people have been catching them around Point Lookout. Your normal stuff is going to work this time of year for rockfish, your topwater plugs, your live lining, your 3 to 5 inch paddle tails. A lot of people have been doing good on diving plugs like this. This is an X-Wrap 12. Nice bunker pattern there. Again, as we transition into fall, a lot of those bunker are going to be in the bay, and those rockfish are going to be more keyed in on bunker than they are on rain minnows, silver sides, things like that. Moving a little bit further down the bay, we got a lot of species diversity this time of year. It's super fun to fish down there. We've got a lot of bluefish right now. They're not as active as they were in recent weeks. We're not seeing as many of them bust on the surface, but if you've got good electronics, you'll find them sitting on the bottom and you'll want to jig for them. Any sort of metal jig like this, Yozuri hydro shot. I've heard schools of bluefish from the chop tank all the way down to Point Lookout. So if you launch out of Solomon's, you're kind of right in the middle there, and that'd be a good spot to look for them. Check along the channel edges. That's usually where they are. A lot of them have been found on the west side and the east side channels, so it just, zigzag around and see what you find. On the inshore side of things down south, a lot of speckled trout, a lot of rockfish. Target them the same way as you would in the middle and upper bay. So target both those fish the same way you would target rockfish in the upper and middle bay zones. Small paddle tails, topwater plugs. If you're specifically trying to target trout, I do like a smaller profile, like a 3-inch paddle tail, and maybe throw some scent on there like Procure, but you'll catch rockfish and trout doing the same things. I've heard really good reports out of Point Lookout and up the Potomac a little bit for trout. Puppy drum, still few and far between. There's been a couple caught in Maryland waters, but most of them are down there in Virginia waters and those rivers for you guys to reliably target. Now, other stuff going on in the lower bay in the Maryland waters in the vicinity of the target ships is going to be your cobia and your redfish. I've finally heard some reports this week of people actually sight casting keeper cobia, which is a blast. If you get a nice sunny and calm day, that's the way to do it. Throw a big old paddle tail at them like this. This bubblegum color works really good. It's actually an angler's exclusive. We are the only ones who carry the 7-inch diesel minnows in a bubblegum color, and the cobia go crazy for it. If you do get out there on a cloudy day or a rough day, you can stick out a chum bag, drop some bunker chunks, float an eel, and see if you can get one to come into your little spread there. But it's definitely going to be easier to sight cast them on a sunny day. Now, bull reds, there's still a bunch of bull reds around. Again, it's really rare to see them on the surface. That's a really rare treat if you do find them there. But for the most part, you're going to be looking for them with your sonars, and you're going to be finding them cruising on the bottom or near to the bottom. So drop a jig down, same thing that you would use for cobia. Drop a jig down when you find them, bounce the bottom, and you might get a bull red on the line. Moving over to the ocean side of things, surf fishing has been a little bit tough this week from what I've heard. The shark guys are having a lot of trouble weeding through rays. Flounder guys are having trouble finding keepers, but there have been a couple. But the kingfish and spot bite is still reliable in the surf if you still want to get some action. Back bays of Ocean City, there's still some sheep's head and tautog being caught along the rocks on just like bottom sweeper jigs and green crabs or fiddler crabs. And there are plenty of flounder being caught, just not a lot of keeper size ones. If you're looking to throw something different as opposed to the normal gulp that everybody's out there throwing, these scented jerk shads from Z-Man do really good. You can fish them a little differently than your typical like bucktail teaser rig. Just stick a jig head on these and do sharp pops off the bottom. That tends to get some bites from flounder. Moving offshore a little bit to your wrecks and reefs. Fishing's been pretty good. At your jackspot reef, your African queen, there's been some cobia around and cutlass fish, which is a cool little different variety than we normally get out there. But besides that, sea bass, flounder, triggerfish as well have been out there. And then pushing out to the canyons, the tuna bite is pretty slow. I've only heard of a couple yellowfin being caught and brought to the docks this week, but there's still plenty of stuff to catch out there, guys. Tile fishing is still really good, like 300 to 400 feet of water. You could throw down a slow pitch jig, or you can just throw down squid. Either way, if they're biting, you should get some fish in the box. Mahi fishing has been really, really good as well around the pots and really any floating debris. If you find a sea turtle, if you find a floating bucket, anything like that can attract the mahi. Again, throw squid at them. If you want to throw artificials, a nice squid presentation like this Nomad Squid Trex will be a really good option for you there. And last thing offshore would be the marlins. Still plenty of whites getting released with the occasional blue. So if you guys are looking to go out there and have something really big pulling on your line and you can't catch tuna, marlin should be a pretty reliable target. Last thing we'll talk about is crabbing. This is a great time of year for crabbing, guys. This is like that August-September transition is one of my favorite times to go crabbing. Shallow-ish water, like 3 foot to 8 foot of water has been really good. Trot lining, pull traps. If you're from the shore, you can do hand lines. We have these little pre-rigged hand lines in here that'll work great. But I've heard so many people who are just limiting out on crabs. It's a great time of year to do it. So get out there and catch some crabs, guys. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. If you guys got any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment, DM, come into the store. We're always happy to help you guys out, and good luck fishing this weekend.